Erynn, welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited to work with you today. For people who aren't familiar with you and all the amazing stuff you're doing in the soccer world down there in Louisville, would you mind filling them in a bit about who you are and all that you got going on?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. Like Dan said, my name is Erin. I am a senior goalkeeper for the Louisville women's soccer team. I've been here all 4 years, so I've spent a lot of time in Louisville, Kentucky, but I'm originally from Connecticut, so I'm an East Coaster at heart. Just had the really cool opportunity to play back in Boston and be there with my team, which was super fun. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Absolutely. How did we end up in Louisville? Because obviously, being from the Northeast, I find a lot of people from the Northeast, like I'm guilty of this myself. I grew up in middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, and I've slowly migrated my way south because I'm kind of over the whole winter snow thing. And I learned you can't shovel sunshine. So, similar story for you, or how did we end up in Kentucky?
Yeah, so my recruiting process was kind of crazy. It was during COVID. So honestly, originally I was only looking at the East Coast just because it was driving distance. I was able to see schools that way, able to kind of tour campuses on my own because that was the only really option at the time. And didn't know anything different. Just kind of had spent all my time through soccer tournaments and all of that up in the Northeast. I think the farthest south I'd been was like Virginia for a tournament. But as my recruitment process continued, I kind of started to expand my horizons, and I had an older sister, who played D3 soccer out in Ohio, so I kinda came out to the Midwest. I was looking at Big 10, ACC, Power 4 schools, and I knew someone who was playing at Louisville at the time, and she was from Connecticut herself, and I actually visited in January when it was pretty cold down here, so it felt like home at the time just weather-wise, and the culture and the home that Louisville offered me, I couldn't say no.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I got to ask, when you say Virginia for soccer, is that a little Jeff Cup action there?
Yeah, it was Jeff Cup.
We love the Jeff Cup. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. It's like the event for youth
Yes.
soccer athletes who play like travel and club and all that sort of thing. I remember I had clinics in Maryland before I moved down here to North Carolina, and I had so many athletes that Jeff Cup was like Christmas to them. It was the event start on the calendar. It's like such a big deal in the soccer space that way. And it's so comical to me because like I thought Richmond was, like, the most random city to have it in, like, I've been to Richmond multiple times, I'm like, "Huh, I didn't pick this as, like, the
Yeah.
soccer town," if you will.
Mhm. No, I 100% agree with that.
Now, obviously, we found our way to Louisville that way, and we play goalkeeper, which obviously there's one of on the team that way. What was it like walking into a college environment where it's like, "Hey, look, like, there's only one of these on the field at a time," right? Like, if I play midfield, I'm willing to move around a little bit. Okay, we might have somewhere between 3 and 5 midfielders on the field. Like, goalie, it's like, it's just you. So what was that kind of transition like into, like, whole new environment, whole new college area, and it's like, "Hey, like, there's only one of us on the field, like, someone gets the spot, someone doesn't at the end of the day," you know?
Yeah, so I kind of had a unique scenario with that where when I came in, it was me and a goalkeeper transfer from Ole Miss, and then there was a current goalkeeper here at the time. So two of us were new, and it was between us kind of for that starting spot. Obviously, I was a true freshman, so it was a lot at the time. I think adjusting in. We came early July, which definitely helped. You get your feet under you before classes start as well. Um, but there was a lot of pressure with it, I won't lie, it was new because the level is higher, the play is faster, everything is better. But there was a conversation with my coaches that I was in the running for the spot, and I think as soon as I heard that I had a chance and there was a set chance of me playing, like, there was a mind shift, and I was like, "I have a shot at this, like, I want it." And just so that drive during preseason, I knew that I could be what my team needed behind me. I had a really strong senior back line, which was so helpful because they had the experience that I didn't at the time. And so being able to rely on them and their experience and their leadership was just truly amazing, and I was so grateful for it at the time because you're on the field and you're like, "Oh, wow, like, I'm playing against UNC." And you're like, "Okay, you're on the field playing against UNC, like, lock in."
Right. No, that's so funny, and I mean, I am nowhere near as good as you are at goalkeeper. I played like high school and like club goalkeeper, but never made it anywhere close to the level that you did. And like, it was always amazing to me watching some of these high level goalies play, because it's like, obviously there's one of you, and I swear the goal doubles its in size when you're standing in front of it, facing away from it. But also like the attention to detail on little things that can either lead to a goal given up or preventing and saving a goal that way is just incredible. There was a video I was watching this morning, and I forget what team it was, but essentially they had a free kick just outside of the penalty box, and they had two players run over the ball at separate times, didn't touch it, and each time they ran over, one guy in the wall jumped. And then when the guy went to shoot, he shot on the ground where the guy was
Oh.
jumping up, and
Mhm.
they scored a goal off of it. And it's like, that little attention to detail that someone like me, I would have just been dumb and not picked up on anything close to that. But like when it was like pointed out clear as day to me, I was like, wow, there's a lot that goes into it. And I think it's far more impressive than a lot of people maybe give it credit for, because you just make it look so easy and effortless when you're playing it. Well, how do you make it look so easy? I would assume prep and a lot of hours go into what we see on the field, kind of under the iceberg, if you will.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me has been film. Film from practice, film from games, review sessions, not just with my goalkeeping coach, but with my entire back line as a whole, just so I know what their responsibilities are, and when we scout other teams, I know what they're thinking in that moment and what we're looking to prevent with that individual player, and being able to help communicate that to them. That's been kind of, I think, one of our biggest strengths this season is our back line is filled with a lot of seniors. We've played a lot of years together, so I can say one word and they know what I'm thinking, and that's just been such a strength because I don't have to waste my time or energy figuring out what their role is because I can give them a quick thing, they know what they're doing, and then I can go back to focus on, "Okay, what is the attacker telling me? How am I reading the first attacker, and how am I putting myself in the best position to possibly defend this?"
Yeah, I'd imagine developing that chemistry and that concept of getting everyone on the same page is unbelievably important that way. And it's interesting to hear you bring up film, because that obviously gets brought up a lot. Like, oh yeah, we watch film, we watch film. But obviously there's so many hours in a day. How do you go about watching film, maybe, intelligently, if you will? I bring up this concept of working smarter, not harder a lot, because I have a tendency to do the opposite. And I put more time in than I need to, and maybe there's more efficient path that I missed, and I know athletes are always looking to do that with everything that they do. So how do you take that approach and apply it to film that way?
Yeah, I think something that was really helpful to me, especially at the beginning of my career, was taking things one at a time. So my coach was really good about this as well. Let's say I would record an entire training session, there would be one concept that we would focus on because there's so many different things that obviously I needed to work on, or so many different things that were popping up in film. But kind of like you said, working smarter, not harder. If we weren't focused on all those things, I'd probably be sitting there like, okay, A, I am nowhere near as good as I thought I was, and B, oh my gosh, there's so many things I need to fix all at the same time, like, what do I do? So, whether it be the positioning of my hands, whether it be, "Okay, we're gonna focus on kick saves and getting my timing right for when I'm coming down for them," just focusing on those smaller details, and then you slowly build that portfolio over time, and then you look back after a few months and you're like, "Oh, wow, like, all of these things, I've slowly improved upon each one individually, and now I'm here." But it didn't feel like all of that at the time. And then with game film, for example, obviously watching 90 minutes of every single action is difficult for any player. I'm kind of in a position where I can just look at when the ball is either in our defensive half or my touch is on the ball. So we have a software that's been really helpful with that, just seeing my positioning as the play is developing, or if there's a shot or an actual action on goal, just watching those moments. What could I have done better? Looking at where the attackers are positioned. So, yes, the shot came from here, but if they had made that pass and then she had, how would I have adapted and been in a better position in that moment?
Absolutely. One of the things I struggled with, this is again like 10 plus years ago at a very minute level compared to you. Like, again, I'm talking high school. I'm not that good. I'm not that impressive. I always want to throw that out there. But like, I always struggled with the timing of like, when do I go out of the box and like either get a ball that's out there, or like if you're like in a one-on-one, like I always just kind of sent it and went right after someone. And
Mhm.
sometimes I learned that that wasn't always the best strategy. What's kind of
Yeah.
become your own like internal litmus test, if you will, for deciding like when to go and literally like just get the freaking ball versus like when to like hang back in front of the goal more? Because I find that that's something that's almost like instinctive in nature, and like some people just kind of have it and some don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely am more similar to you where naturally I kind of just wanna go, but what I've been told throughout my years is a coach would much rather reel a player back in. They can't tell you to have that bravery to come flying out in those moments. So I think that's definitely been a part of my play that I've been developing and working on throughout the years. Kind of just taking a moment to assess is what I always say to myself, like, "Okay, I wanna go." Take a moment to assess, "Do I still wanna go?" Where are my defenders? How close are they? How far away are they? Is it truly a one-on-one, or if I'm holding or dropping and delaying, do they have time to then join in and help me affect this play? And then in those moments where it's just whether it's "Okay, I'm going," or it's I make those mental notes and I'm like, "Okay, I'm going." Just being as fast as I can off my line. I think I play a bit of a high line to begin with, which is helpful, especially, just with space behind our back line being connected. And then just being brave going through the ball and just plowing through and hoping for the best.
I love that, just plowing through and like
Yeah.
spray and fray kind of approach, if you will. Obviously, the physical demands of playing goalkeeper are very high, like from the jumping to the contact to some of those like acrobatic saves that y'all make. It's always wicked impressive for me to watch that. Like the body control and awareness that you have is just insane. What does the typical training block look like for you, whether that's on field or in the weight room that way? What kind of things go into, like, the making of a D1 goalkeeper, if you will?
Yeah, I think for me, my speed has always been a strong suit of mine, especially just I'm not short, but I'm not the tallest. I'm around 5'8", so as someone who doesn't have that height advantage, just knowing that I can be faster than the attacker to the ball or fast enough to still get there, and then explosiveness ties into that, vertical and horizontal. Like, okay, I have quick enough feet, but now when I need to explode out, how do I do that? So that obviously ties into the weight room a lot and jumps and legs and hamstrings and quads and all the fun stuff has been a huge part of development for my play. On the field, I'm trying to think of what like a normal day. We'll normally pick some sort of concept that we know we're gonna face, whether okay, this team scores a lot of balls off of cutbacks, so that's kind of the focus today, or they're gonna pick their head up when they're 20, 30 yards out. So that's the focus, 1v1s. And we kind of have a unique training situation here where we have male practice players. So it is a fun environment and training because they are incredibly fast and physical and strong, and they test your limits, but it's also really nice when you do make that save and you're like, "Okay, like, a guy can't score on me," kind of moment.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've not heard of teams doing that before. That's
Mm.
very unique, my goodness. Are there any other, like, little, like, unique things that you've done, maybe even back in, like, the travel days, high school days, whatever that way, in relation to soccer that you're like, "Hey, you know, this thing, it was a little bit unconventional, but it paid dividends from a training standpoint."
Yeah, I think one of the first things that pops to mind is we run our field player test here as goalkeepers, which I feel like a lot of times goalkeepers will have a little bit different of a test, but we do the same running, but it helps so much with fitness and it helps with mental fatigue and staying locked in the game. And obviously when I'm doing my summer packets, I'm like, "Oh wow, I don't want to run." But then I'm in the game and I'm like, "Okay, 89th minute, like I'm locked in. There's no part of me that's wanting out of that moment, and I think that really does tie into our physical fitness and just the fact that we're there and we're ready and we're just as fit as anyone else on the field and also drawing confidence from that in those moments.
Now, you mentioned the concept of being locked in, which obviously I think now more than ever, people are starting to understand and appreciate that sports are just as mental as they are physical that way. What does your kind of mental training look like? Are you into like meditation practice or journaling, or what do you do to kind of mentally prep for game day, get through hard trainings, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I'll start kind of with after a game. So let's say we just finished a game the next day. we as a team always do a journal prompt of well, better, learned. What did I do well? What do I want to do better? What did I learn from the game? And you put it down on paper, you look at it and you're like, okay, put that game behind me. Look at my what I want to or what I learned from it, what I want to do better. That's what I'm going to focus on. Move on. And then for me, before a game, the day of, I do kind of like a meditation where I walk myself through what my warm-ups are gonna look like in my head, what the game's gonna look like through my head, and take that moment to kind of just calm down and take a few breaths and be present and be in the moment. And then once I have that foundation, that's kind of where I start to ramp myself up with music and pregame hype and kind of get into the flow of things. But I love having that foundation to start at. I usually pick anywhere between 1 to 3 words, depending on the game and what I feel like I need. So, sometimes it's calm, confident, athletic, sometimes it's strong and fast. Like, what do I need in that game? What's the game demanding of me? Do I need to be the person that slows the tempo down? Do I need to be more composed in the back? Or, okay, there's gonna be a lot of action this game, like, I need to be fast, I need to be quick, I need to be brave, I need to trust myself. And just having those power words that I can latch on to and just kinda like my mantra for the game where if negative thoughts start to creep in, like, I just repeat those 3 words in my head and everything else goes out.
I love that. I love that so much. I think it's so important to have that, like, groundedness, if you will, and individualizing that to the task at hand, whether that's a specific game or a training session. I think that's amazing to have those kinda focused words, if you will, that way. You mentioned a little hype music that way. I gotta ask, what's on the playlist? Are we throwing, like, some T Swift on pregame, or, like, what do we go to?
I'm a big house music person, I love the Two Friends remixes on game days, those are a big hit, but yeah, anything from John Summit to, I'm trying to think of who's been on recently. I've had Swedish House Mafia recently playing, I'll do some rap. I'm kinda all over the place, but not necessarily my pop music on game days.
I love that. What's our go-to 2 friends mix? Like, which volume do we like the most?
Oh, recently it's been 14. I love 15 and 17, but 14's kinda just been sticking lately.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's funny, we just had a whole debate about this over the weekend, and I'm the worst. I don't remember by the numbers. I remember like the cover art. So I'm like the one with the
Yeah.
cereal. Like I think it was
Yeah,
at
literally, like the
18 or
red one.
something like that. Like the cereal box cover, that one. That's
Uh-huh.
the one I like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little things like that. It's freaking hilarious. Obviously, what you're doing is freaking amazing and impressive, but I feel like a lot of times athletes have little hidden battles or obstacles that they have to overcome, whether that's in the form of an injury or the form of like, just navigating living in a new world for the first time, a new space for the first time, all that sort of thing. Any kind of obstacles that you've had to overcome thus far in your soccer career, Aaron?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is probably the biggest battle for me is staying available, and I think that is one of the biggest challenges with college athletics is how can I be healthy, but how can I help myself stay healthy, and how can I prepare in advance? And so for me, whether that's rehab every week for little nagging things, or I feel great, but I'm still gonna do this rehab just because I know that with all the kicking that I do, sometimes my groins flare up, or okay, I jammed a finger, like, it's no big deal, but I'm gonna take the time to heat it and ice it just to prevent any bigger things from arising. Just because with the pressures of being a goalkeeper, like you said, there's one on the field, you don't have that active rotation, it's not really like, "Okay, I'm not gonna be seeing a full 90 tonight," like, maybe my time is just limited on the field, like, you're in or you're out, and for me, I'm always someone that will push through whatever physical issues I have to be on the field. So kinda trying to help myself out in a manner where I'm not having to push through these crazy things, and I'm working with my trainer constantly to make sure that my body is as ready as it can be for the moment.
Yeah, it sounds like you take a very heavy preventative approach to things, which I think is incredible to see, and it's something I wish every athlete would do that way, is like, what can I do proactively to make sure things don't happen to me instead of just reacting when they do?
Yeah, no, I would just kind of emphasize it. I think it's something you learn naturally as you go
Right.
through your career. I think in the mornings we always make jokes because it's all the seniors in the training room and then the freshmen are running around and energized before practice and we're all heating and rolling out and oh, we're so sore from lift just after 4 years of athletics, but it's something that you really do start to realize, like, "Okay, my body is my temple, like, I can't play soccer without my body, so I need to take care of it."
Absolutely. No, I could not agree more. And obviously, you've had a number of iconic games against amazing programs that way, right? Like, I think you ended last season, like, against Clemson with like a clean sheet or something crazy like that. Any specific moments from your career that have really stuck with you so far? Like, any big memories or any things like that?
Yeah, I think sophomore year, we upset Duke, and that was fun just because Duke is a power program, so being able to be a team that prevented them from getting to the postseason was just a positive moment on our end, and I think we took that into my junior year with us. For me specifically, our 0-0 tie last year against Notre Dame, I had been out with an injury for a few weeks prior, and was kinda just coming back into things, and being able to kinda step up into that moment, it felt so good to be back on the field with my team and be able to be there for them, and we defended our hearts out that game, like, that was a team win. We walk or I say win, it felt like a win just because everyone gave 120% and just knowing that you can compete with a team of that level, a team that this year's 7-0 in ACC play, that kind of confidence that your team gets from moments like that just carries you through that season, the following season, and you just continue to build your portfolio and draw confidence from it.
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing. Like you stack wins almost, and if like
Exactly.
you get a little positive momentum, and then you just continue to go all in on that positive momentum. And going back to what we talked about before in relation to overcoming obstacles, because again, I think that's a guarantee for athletes. You're always going to have difficult times. You're always going to have some unique challenge presented to you. Going back to your strategy from, an analyzing video, like if you just narrow it down to one thing at a time, right? Hey, I've got this like mountain of an obstacle I have to push through. Now, maybe it's an injury or maybe it's just navigating like living in a new city for the first time, whatever it is. If you just break it down to one thing at a time and you stack those small wins like you just mentioned, like literally anything is possible and you can do anything that you put your mind to. I think it's just a matter of having the right mindset and being able to like compartmentalize those big things into small little chunks and go one at a time, if you will. And I think that's something that's so difficult for athletes to develop. Like it's getting harder and harder to keep up with all the demands that athletes are being called to do. It's like, not only do you have to be ready to go, at a moment's notice that way, but you've also got to like personally brand yourself and market yourself and have a sense for business and all these other things. Like the athlete is becoming a modern day version of the Renaissance man, in my opinion, that way. And it's just so much for y'all to juggle, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely a changing world within college athletics and especially with NIL, like you mentioned. I really love how you say one thing at a time. Our team's mantra this season is just one. Like we are one, next one thing at a time, one game at a time. And that's been a core concept for us and something we say before every game and remind each other of in the hard moments. So I love that.
Absolutely. No, I'm always here for all of that sort of thing. Now, what's the future looking like for you, Aaron? Obviously, we've talked a lot about the past and the present, but what is the future post women's soccer at Louisville going to hold for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I would love to continue playing. I'm kind of open to playing anywhere, domestic, international, would love to travel and see the world. And then majoring right now in marketing and being able to work within the NIL world and be able to build my own brand and market myself and kind of work with marketing teams has been really unique because I kind of feel like I'm getting that experience when I can't necessarily or I don't necessarily have time for an internship during season. So being able to build my own brand and then market myself and then reach out to companies and market their products just has been a really cool way of kind of knowing, "Okay, I like to do this, and here's my experience with doing it."
You mentioned the NIL era, and obviously, you being the marketing major, you're the expert here. What kind of insights do you have for other athletes in relation to themselves, marketing, branding, and so on that way? Because I feel like they always hear so many different things from so many different people that have never stood in their shoes as an athlete. Like, I think it's different when you're literally in the trenches yourself right there with them.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me and the biggest obstacle with NIL I faced is just getting started. I got here freshman year and I kind of was like, "Oh, women's soccer isn't a revenue sport. This doesn't really apply to me. I'll do it next year." And then sophomore year, I made some gear and was like, "Oh, this is fun." Made a few dollars. But it wasn't really until junior year that I actually tapped into NIL, and it doesn't matter if you're a revenue sport or not. If you can show your worth and your brand and be able to say, "This is who I am on the field, but this is also who I am off the field, and here's how your product or your clothing fits with that," they're gonna love it. And just posting your content and not being afraid to do so. Your social media is your social media. It's there for you to post on. So just not being afraid to start, and it's really open to everyone right now. Um, and I think honestly, sometimes non-rev sports have more success with it just because you're willing to put in the work a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure, and I think a lot of it just comes back to being authentically yourself at the end of the day. Like, I feel like some people put on these, like, personas online, if you will, and I feel like eventually that's going to catch up with you one way or another. I think just do the things that you enjoy and be authentically yourself, right? Like, you mentioned clothing. If you don't enjoy clothing, like, for me, I just wake up and grab the top thing in the drawer and go about my day. Like, I'm not the poster child for a clothing company by any means. But if you enjoy fashion and you enjoy that stuff, absolutely go all in on it. Same thing with like supplements. Like if you don't take any supplements, don't rep a supplement
Yeah.
company. It just doesn't make sense. Like I feel like a lot of the times people hear opportunities that just sound good because of maybe the financial side or the balance side or whatever that way. But in reality, I think at the end of the day, as long as you just stay true to yourself, the money will find you eventually. You just have to do what makes sense for you and stay true to you as a person. Because I think it's easy to get lost in some of the fame and clout that can get thrown your way as an athlete, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's been a big thing as well as like don't just say yes to every opportunity because you want the money, like you said. And being able to look over those contracts and know just because NIL is still pretty new. So there are some companies that might try and take advantage of you. So just being smart with the whole thing.
Obviously, saying no is very difficult. I'm still learning how to do it myself in a lot of aspects of life that way. Is there anything that you've learned from yourself or your own experiences that have really driven home the importance of being able to kind of put that barrier up and turn away from different opportunities?
Yeah, I think there's just a simple fact of if a company is reaching out to you, they're going to give you a lot more credit and respect if you take the time to be like, "Hey, thank you for reaching out. This opportunity doesn't I don't feel like this opportunity matches who I am," or "I'm not looking for new partnerships at the time, but I appreciate you reaching out." Just it doesn't have to be long, a few sentences, doesn't take that much time rather than no response at all, then, "Oh, are they wasting energy to follow up with you because they think you don't see that?" So, just taking that initial time to get back to someone, even if it's not an opportunity you're interested in, they'll have respect. Then maybe there's something in the future that you do want to collaborate them with. You might have a connection there.
Yeah, and one of the things I've actually done is when people reach out to me and it's not of interest for me, obviously this is not in relation to NIL, this is in relation to like company work and that sort of thing. If it's not for me, I usually know someone who it would be for, and I connect them there. And I find that concept of giving to someone else and giving to that company ends up coming back tenfold. That's not why I do it. It doesn't need to be transactional. Like at the end of the day, like you just want to help people, like have
Yeah.
good intentions. But I find the more you give like that, the more the universe tends to spin things back around into your favor, I find.
Yeah, 100%.
Erynn, I feel like we could probably talk about you all day long because obviously you're just an insanely impressive athlete. Is there anything that we were maybe discussing about that you want to expand on or anything that you want to kind of share with listeners today?
I think my one message would just be chase after every opportunity. Don't let someone tell you that your ceiling isn't that high or you don't have the potential to do it. Especially in the recruiting process, you never know what a coach is looking for, what a team is looking for. So don't be afraid to reach out because I think no is better than not knowing.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And Erynn, for people who want to find out more about you online, obviously keep up to date on the soccer side and maybe check out some of the merch and different things that you mentioned that way. Where can they find you at?
Yeah, I'm most active on my Instagram or my TikTok. My Instagram handle is just Erynn M. Floyd. My TikTok is just Erynn Floyd. I post a lot, so be warned, but my life is out there. I love doing day in the lives. My links are out there, so feel free to check it out.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll link to all of that in the description below too. That way, if you didn't quite catch it, you can just click there, see everything that Erynn is up to. Erynn, this was awesome. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course. Thanks again.